the shower was Sandra's idea. My college roommate, who drives 4 hours for things that matter, and never makes you feel like you owe her for it. She'd hung paper lanterns from the living room ceiling and made a punch that was actually good, and for about 40 minutes, I forgot that Daniel's mother was sitting in the corner armchair, with the particular stillnesses of someone who has already decided how the afternoon is going to go. I should have kept forgetting. I almost did. Margaret has never liked me in a way she's ever bothered to conceal. What she has done for 6 years is frame the dislike as concern. Concern for Daniel. Concern for the family. Concern expressed in questions that aren't questions. Do you think that's the right neighborhood? Do you think that's the right job? Do you think, at your age? And then a pause where the rest of the sentence lives, unsaid, doing its work anyway. I had learned to answer the questions without answering them. Daniel had learned to change the subject. We had built a life around this skill set, and for a long time I told myself that was just family, that was just how it worked. I don't know when I stopped believing that. Somewhere before the shower. Maybe the year before, when she'd told Daniel at Christmas that I seemed like someone who would be fine at motherhood, and he'd nodded, and I'd excused myself to refill a drink that didn't need refilling. Fine. The way you describe a hotel with uncomfortable pillows. She waited until the room was full. That was deliberate. I understand that now, though in the moment I registered it only as a vague wrongness. The way you notice a smell before you identify it. She crossed the room, with the envelope held in front of her like a gift, which it was wrapped to resemble, and she set it on the table in front of me and smiled and said, clearly, for the room. 47 reasons my son should leave you. The paper lanterns Sandra had hung moved slightly in the air conditioning. I looked at the envelope. I looked at Margaret. She was still smiling. The smile of someone who has rehearsed this. Who has imagined this room, and this moment, and the shape of my face when it happened. Daniel laughed. It was short, reflexive, the sound he makes when he doesn't know what else to do. I've heard it at work parties when someone says something inappropriate and he's calculating the social cost of every response. It wasn't a cruel laugh. It was a frightened one. I knew the difference, and in that moment the difference didn't help me. Sandra, across the table, had gone very still. I opened the envelope. I won't tell you all of it. Some of it was petty. My cooking, my organizational habits, the way I apparently talk too much at dinners. Some of it was the kind of criticism that reveals more about the writer than the subject. Some of it landed in the way that things land when they're said by someone who has watched you long enough to find the right angle. I read it without expression. I've had practice. But the last page was different. It was a note, not formatted like the list, handwritten, messier, like something she'd added late. It was addressed to Daniel, not to me. I think she forgot, in the construction of her little document, to remove it. Or she didn't think I'd get that far, or she assumed I would absorb the first 47 and be too diminished to continue. I read it. Then I held the pages out to Daniel and said quietly, "Read the last page." He read it. I watched his face. I watched the exact moment the laugh from earlier became something else. Something older and less comfortable. The expression of a man encountering a truth irreverent about someone he loves that he has been carefully not encountering for 40 years. He tore the papers in half without speaking. Margaret said his name. He didn't answer her. I'm not going to tell you what the note said. I've thought about it, and I think it belongs to him more than to me. It was about him, finally, in ways the list never was. The list was a performance. The note was the thing underneath the performance. Written in a moment of honesty she hadn't intended to share. What I will tell you is that it had nothing to do with me being insufficient. It had to do with Margaret, and fear, and the specific way some people love their children like a possession they're not finished with. She called 4 days later. I know, because Daniel told me afterward. I wasn't in the room. I'd taken the dog for a long walk, not strategically, I just needed air, and when I came back, he was sitting at the kitchen table with his phone, face down, in front of him. And the expression he gets, when something has required more of him than he had available. I told her she needs to apologize to you directly, he said. Not to me, to you, in person, and that until she does, we're not available. I put the leash on the hook by the door. I didn't say anything immediately. I also told her what she wrote wasn't something I could unknow, he said, and that I needed some time. I nodded. I made coffee. I brought him a cup and sat across from him, and we didn't talk for a while, which was its own kind of language between us. One we've been building, for 6 years, without always knowing it. Here is what I have now, and what I don't. I have a husband who tore something in half that should have been torn. I have that moment, which is real, and was witnessed and cannot be revised. I have Sandra's hand on my arm, as people filed out of a baby shower that ended 40 minutes early, and her not asking me if I was okay because she already knew the answer and understood that asking would make it worse. What I don't have is resolution. Margaret hasn't called me. I don't know if she will. I don't know what Daniel's relationship with her looks like from here, or whether the thing he understood in that moment is durable, or whether it softens over time the way difficult truths sometimes do when they stop being new. I don't know what I'll tell our daughter about her grandmother. That's a sentence I'm not ready for yet. What I know is this. I sat at a table with a document designed to reduce me, and I read it calmly, and I found the thing inside it that mattered, and I handed it to the right person at the right moment without saying a word. I didn't plan that. It just turned out to be what I was capable of. That's enough. For now. The lanterns are still up. Sandra forgot to take them, or left them on purpose. Either way, I haven't taken them down. I like the way they move,